You tirelessly been preaching the limitless love of our Abba, especially to men's conferences. You mentioned the cross is all about the Father. Isn't the cross a Trinitarian sacrifice? I'm talking about. Yes, the answer is yes, of course it is. But Jesus in his humanity, the Father, like, again, if you ever come to my church in Erie, Pennsylvania, the very center of the high altar, the top of the altar, the center of it, where everything goes, is God the Father, and he's holding Jesus on the cross, and the Spirit comes forth from them. So of course it's Trinitarian. But Jesus was focused on the Father, and he said, your will be done, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. When he looks at it and says, Father, forgive them. So of course you can't take the Trinity out of anything that Jesus did, because he is God and God is a Trinity. But in his humanity, we can say, so when I say that there is nothing about us, nothing about him on the cross, it means in his humanity, he gave up himself for you, for me, to do the Father's will. When he goes into the he goes into the night before, when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, he looks at the Father and he says, Father, I don't want to do this, but your will be done. Your will be done. Your will be done. Jesus in his humanity said what he didn't want. I don't want to suffer. In his humanity, he struggled, but he always surrendered. So he went to the cross. It wasn't about, okay, I'm going to do this. Look at me. Look who I am. It's like, look at how much I love you. Look at how much I love the Father. This is what I do to prove my love for you. So it's something that God does for us. You know, everything that God does as God is for our salvation, right? God doesn't need us. He doesn't need you. He sure doesn't need me. He created us to love us, and he wants us to learn to be like him, and God is love. So God wants us to be like him who is love. You know, I really don't get the theology. And even though I bought into it for most of my life because I was formed by stuff that I didn't even question. It's like, okay, yeah, I buy it. But do you believe that God created us just to watch us suffer? Like, here, I didn't ask to create you, but I'm going to create you, and then I'm going to enjoy your suffering, and I'm going to watch you struggle. That's okay. I'm going to make you better for it, but I just like to do that. Don't you think that would be a horrible God? The God of the universe created you and me to love us. And remember the teaching of the church, I talk about it almost every week to keep it into our heads and remind us. Who made me? God made me. Why did God make me? He made me to know him, to love him, and serve him so I can be happy with him forever in the next world. I can be happy with him forever in heaven. So God wants us to be happy forever. Now, we go through struggles and we suffer, but we suffer in love. Jesus suffered more than any other person, but he suffered because of love of the Father and love of us. So this when we're called to suffer, it's a suffering of love. And when you love, if anyone you've ever loved has hurt you, is that correct? Not on purpose, but of course they have. And when you give permission to love somebody, when you decide to love someone, you know they're going to hurt you by definition. So that's a type of suffering we're called to. And even if we're going through any kind of suffering, the church has always taught we offer that up. We join that with the suffering of Christ on the cross. Right? So it doesn't become just about us, but becomes redemptive suffering for others. Even people that are called victim souls, you know, these people have been suffering their whole life. And the church teaches them about their victim souls, that they offer up their pain for the good of the church, for the good of others, to unite themselves with Jesus on the cross. So again, God doesn't create us just to watch us suffer. That'd be horrible. And that would not be a God of love. God created you and me so he could love us, and so we could learn to be like him and to love each other, to lay down our life for each other. That's suffering, when we lay down our life for each other. But too many want to just live their own will. They follow God only for what he can do for them, so that they can live forever, so that they can do all these things instead of wanting to give away our life in love every day for the Father and for others. Again, I talk a great thing about this. I don't live this well, so you don't have to write me any letters and say, Father, if only you practiced what you preached. Tell me about it. Are you kidding me? Tell me about it. I agree with you. And I pray every day, Lord, you got to help me do this. Yeah, it's just that simple. We're all like that, but hopefully we're all going to do better. Okay, thank you that.